What's going on?
Hello, gentlemen. Chris, wanted to ask you about Tanner Connor, the thinking in keeping him on the 53, not, I guess you could have stashed him on IR for the year, but the thinking in not doing that. And also, will Tanner and Eric Rowe go on IR after the 53 is set in a few minutes? So it's a 2 or 3.
It's like a 100-part question.
Yeah.
Now.
I struggle with those. So
Tanner did a good job here. We visited with him on a 30 visit in the spring and got him in here, and he improved every day. He worked hard. He's a smart kid. He's really wants to improve his craft and really wants to play in the NFL. And so it's been fun watching him take to the coaching, and he's done a great job. And so for us, it's he'll be back here shortly, so this is not anything where it's IR with him. And it was just we felt that talent-wise we would have lost him. We had multiple people, other teams just calling, asking about him. And we think he's got a good future here potentially. So for us, we're excited to have him here. Eric Rowe is fine. He'll be just like anyone, normal bumps and bruises battling through. But he was out there, did a good job today, working through stuff. So at the end of the day, both those guys will be on the active roster and are not being put down.
See, how did you do that? I didn't even remember the second question.
Yeah, it was kind of blacked out for a second.
Yeah. And Chris is also a fan of players with 2 first names.
Tanner Connor.
Yeah.
Works perfectly in line with that, yeah. Was Skyler a no-brainer ultimately? Was he that good in preseason where it didn't even require much thought, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so he played very well. Again, another guy that comes in, he just works every day. He's won over his teammates through his work ethic, and, he went out and balled. And another one, we got calls again, people asking what we were going to do, and they're all saying, you guys would be stupid to let him go, and there was no thought about us doing it.
We're not in the business of being stupid.
So.
Chris and Mike, seemed like there was some optimism that Byron would be able to avoid maybe PUP. I'm curious if something changed in putting him on that list.
No, it really was just working through the process with him, just letting him, take his time, go through the rehab work, and like everything, you have good days and bad days. But he worked hard, did great. It was just we were just being patient, not putting any pressure on him to rush him back. And at the end of the day, we made the decision, talking with him today, to put him down, for the 4 games, because he was still optimistic about hopefully being here in a couple weeks, but we didn't want to be fair. He can't rush him out there with this. We just want to make sure he's ready and right when he comes back. Yeah, like everything, we'll be searching the waiver wire here tonight and into tomorrow. But for us, we feel good about the group we have. So for us right now, that's not a position right now we feel is critical for us right now.
Where do you stand in terms of offensive line depth? Obviously, you guys kept 8, but how do you feel specifically about tackle depth and possibly adding some options in there?
I mean, yeah, you need more players than 8, so, but feel good about where Greg's at, and that we're excited about that. We're excited about the way that our tackles are performing. You guys haven't got the chance to see Armstead as often as we have. Feel very good about that and where he's at, and really like where Austin's at. So. That's just the nature. There's plenty of years that, your roster kind of dictates. It's less of the other guys weren't X, Y, or Z. It's more that there was positions of strength that the roster itself kind of steered us towards.
Chris, this is year 4 of the cycle from 2019 at the teardown to now. Well, where would you say this roster is? And obviously, the planning, this would be like when you guys are making a run. Do you feel like you have a championship caliber roster right now?
We feel good about the roster. We were actually talking about that, and the guys that have been here, myself, Marvin, Brandon, and the scouts, we were actually talking about how difficult the cuts were here for us, and a couple guys that we were battling on at the end here, and just trying to make the right decisions for the team. So we feel there's some players that got released, it will be on NFL rosters, which is always a good thing. That wasn't the case here, for a while, but we've been building it up, and we feel good about the roster and excited for what it could be in the future.
Chris, what's your opinion of what you've personally seen from Tua since we last visited?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, it's being around Mike and watching him. The other day he was in visiting with Mike for just a couple hours on an off day, just coming in, spending time. He was downstairs in the training room for like an hour, just hanging out with the trainers, just talking, and it's just seeing his personality come in, and it's just how he is and with the team and stuff. And I think his teammates all see it and feel it, and you guys here talk to the guys, and he's taking steps, and with the offense, with Mike and the coaching staff, he's very excited. He likes the offense. He thinks it fits him and the players we added. So it's been good watching his growth and watching him enjoy himself playing football.
Chris, kind of touching on what Adam was asking about, the level of roster. Do you feel, and Mike, you could add to this too, obviously having been through
Chop
the
over here, start of the show again.
in the last few years, but do you feel this is one of the better rosters you've put together? How confident are you that the improvements in the last few years have been made to get closer to where you want to get?
Yeah, I do. I mean, obviously when you add players like Tyreek Hill to the roster, and Armstead and Cedric Wilson and the guys, Raheem Mostert stuff, Alec Ingold. I mean, it's some talented players that are good players that can that are good teammates too, and guys that know how to win, know what it takes, and just being around. So it's we feel like we got a good deep group. It's a good mix. We're still fairly young. Like when Ann did her presentation with the media, we were joking about that and asked about how many players have been in an open locker room, and 48 of them have never been in an open locker room before. And so we're still very young, but we feel good about it. And but we feel good about the roster. But again, we'll always, like we do, keep looking and improving and trying and get it to where we can compete for championships.
What did a cater coach show you guys this camp and preseason to earn this spot?
He's a competitor, man, and that's the one thing that was obvious. It's also obvious to him, or to all of us, early. There's when the game's not too big for you. That you're because it's hard. The jump and level of play is real, but he from the onset let it be known through his play that this was not too big of a stage for him. So those are always the ones that are real pleasant surprises. It'd be a farce to say that you totally expect it. In terms of undrafted free agents being able to make that jump so quick, but you feel good about them. But you're careful not to jump the gun and crown this, that, or the other. You got to just throw them to the fire and see if they don't burn, I guess. Throw them in the water and don't drown. One of those things. But he's like the other or the other rookies that we kept. They made it be known to their teammates early and often that they belong. That's why they deserve the roster spot they received.
What went into the process of keeping Savon and Miles and letting Sony walk?
That process was brutal. It was a good thing for the Miami Dolphins, but that competition was real, and it was just continued ops. There was some game tape involvement. It was much more than that. It was just the whole progression from the onset. So that room was very, very healthy in terms of how they tried to make each other better, but they were competing against each other, but they were also rooting for each other. Sony did not make it easy, but to those guys' credit, one of the things that I was so impressed with was, you can remember like it was yesterday, whenever we were signing running backs in the off season, Miles and Essay in particular were how they handled that was not sulking. It was like clockwork. They were outside of on the field with weight vests on working, so we feel very good about the group we were able to assemble, and I think it would be shortchanging all of those guys to not emphasize that it was the group of them competing but working together that raised those guys' level of play.
Signing Tyreek was probably one of the biggest decisions you've made as general manager. How have you liked how that decision has panned out in the last couple months, and what you like from him on the field standpoint and what he can provide for the team?
Obviously on the field stuff, saw it the other night too, what he can do, but it's behind the scenes, which has been even better than we thought.
Right.
We'd heard a lot of good things from people and friends and coaches that we know in Kansas City, but being around here, he's got an infectious attitude, he's a competitor, great teammate with the guys. You guys see him out there and you see him, he's 100%, 100 miles an hour in everything he does, and always encouraging people and stuff. And so it's been really fun watching him behind the scenes take leadership of the team and help guide the guys in terms of pushing everyone to be great, because it's easy if you're him, you can sit back and and coast through this if he wanted to, but that's not him, and that's been fun watching him around. So that's been the biggest surprise for me.
Yeah, you can tell he recognized, who don't really concern ourselves with anything but since he's been here. But one thing I will say is it was obvious that he recognized the opportunity to where that he is he's been a Pro Bowl player every year of his career, and came to a very young team, and there was an opportunity for him to take his game to another level in terms of leadership and tone setting and all of those things, and I'm sure he could feel that his teammates were like, wow, this is Tyreek Hill, and when he doesn't make it an option to go full speed, it is like if you're on the field, you're full speed, it changes the teammates for the better. And I think he's really embracing that. It's been, like Chris said, it's been really cool. That's been the most fun part with all of it.
Chris, we haven't had a chance to talk to you since the NFL punishment. What was your reaction to the first round pick being lost and the findings of the report?
At the end of the day, appreciate the question. For us, it really doesn't affect how we do business around here. We're just kind of focused on the team right now and moving forward. But, the league did their investigation, and but at the end of the day, this team's not affected by it, and everyone's just moving forward and focused on trying to win as many games as we can this season.
Chris, you had a look at a number of edge outside linebacker guys, and then you ended up signing Trey Flowers yesterday. So what went into that decision? What do you expect him to bring to this team?
Yeah, I think Trey's familiarity with our system and scheme helps. He was with New England and Josh, obviously, and those guys. So E-Rob and those guys. So he knows guys here on the roster, and so we were kind of looking for someone with his skill set, the guy that can play all along the line of scrimmage. His time in New England, he could do some rush inside as well too, which will help. So I think his versatility and what he's done, he's still 28 years old. We understand that he's had some bad luck with injuries a couple of years, but here he's not asked to come in here and be a star for us. He's come here just be a good player and help us like he is, and he's a great teammate, good person. Everything we've heard about him is from people in New England and Detroit about what kind of character and person he was. So excited to add him here. Just us being around him just for a few days. Really, really good dude. So excited for him and looking forward to see how he fits in the scheme here with our guys.
Chris, I think one reason why Mike Gesicki's name has been bandied about by media and fans is because obviously he's adjusting to a slightly different position on a one-year contract with a franchise tag. So I was going to ask you, A, was there any trade offer you received that was tempting that you guys discussed? And B, is that still a fluid thing, or have you all decided, both of you decided, we are better with Mike Gesicki, he is on the team for all of 2022?
Do you ever ask a question that's just like one?
I know it overwhelms me. I'm glad it's just not me.
Sorry.
I know, I appreciate it. I'm glad you asked it, Barry. Like, for us, we did not make any calls on Mike. We had calls from 2 teams that reached out to us about Mike. We never made any phone calls about him. We were always, Mike was going to be here, and I think everyone made a big deal about him being on the field. But Mike's a competitive kid, you know. He's been challenged to do some things he, you know, hadn't been asked to do before, and he stepped up. And we were talking about the other day how last couple of weeks he's made some great strides in that area. So for us, it was never about moving him or us trying to. Teams called asking because he's a good player, and so for us, you guys have heard me say it for years. You know, I'll always listen. It doesn't mean we're going to do anything, because I think that's negligent if we don't, because you never know what kind of deal someone's going to offer you on someone.
Chris, do you?
Oh,
No, the coolest thing too is there was noise that he was alluding to, and one of the cooler parts of training camp for me in general, I made a point to the team the other day, was that, you know what Mike worried about and all that? About getting better at blocking and catching. And he's there each and every day. He's doing 1 or 2 things better to his standard of the way he wants his football to look. And that's all you can ask for. That's a guy that teammates and coaches and everyone respect, are the ones that can ignore the noise and just try to get better.
I heard what you said about Skyler, and it's a no-brainer, and you're not in the business of being stupid. He's a you know, putting him on the 53, you could get somebody who could perhaps contribute on special teams right now. So do you keep Skyler because he can help you now, or do you think you can develop him and he can help you in the future?
No, I think that I haven't heard of a good football team that their problem was they had too many good quarterbacks. They touched the ball every play. So it's not about, well, what you can go a lot of draft classes, and over a long period of time, and you'll be, if you're holding your breath for a player out of the 7th round to play like he did in the preseason, you're going to pass out. So, yeah, that's why. It's just because you don't just scoff and look the other way when you have a player playing well at that position. Those are things that if you let those slip through your fingers, you'll end up regretting that forever.
Thank you, guys.
And guys, I just want to say appreciate all the stuff you guys said about Jason. I'm glad you guys didn't ask me early, because I told her, I said if I got going, I probably would have broke down and left here. But appreciate it. He's such a good dude, and I'm glad that he impacted all you guys' lives. And miss him here, and appreciate you guys just being good to Elizabeth and his family. So, all right, thank you.